Series. I'm Carrie. I'm an educator here at the museum. And this presentation is joint with the Office of Environmental Education and us here at the museum. So we have a very special speaker for you today. We have got Dr. Eleanor Spicer Rice. She is a PhD entomologist, and she is going to be talking about our pets' wild behaviors. And this is a part of your Hidden Life series. So Eleanor, come on up and tell us all about our pets.
Thank you. Okay, I guess I'll stand up here so I can loom over you. Now, if you didn't get the stickers that you wanted and you didn't get the bookmarks that you wanted, there's plenty in the back. So when you get done, you can go on the way out and get some, okay? All right. I want to talk to you about your pet's wild behaviors, but I did hear a big word. Does anybody know what an entomologist does? Yes. The entomologist does study bugs. That's right. So that's what I went to school for. I spent 7 years watching ants fight each other, and that's a real job. And then I started writing books for children like you people. Exactly like you people. So today I want to talk about our pets' wild behaviors. But because I'm a bug person, it doesn't seem like I'm a pet expert. But I wrote this book about the things that our pets do that seem kind of weird. And when I did, I was shocked by the things that I found. Because I've been keeping pets my whole life. Who here has pets? A lot of you have pets. Who doesn't have pets? Wah, wah. I'm sorry, guys. We'll pretend like some of these are your pets. Wow, that guy has a lot of pets. Okay, we have been keeping pets, humans have, for more than 15,000 years. These are some pets that people kept a long time ago. Our first pets were probably dogs, but you can see up there's cats. People love their cats so much that when they died, they would mummify them and bury them with them. So there's some little cat mummies. There's a little rabbit that somebody kept a long time ago. We've been keeping pets for a really long time. So we've taken them out of the wild and we've brought them into our homes. And because of that, because we spend all day with animals that we do this kind of stuff to, it's hard to realize that inside our pets, there's still a little bit of wild animal inside our pets. What I'm telling you is that in our dogs, there's a little bit of wolf howling to get out. And our gerbils are running through the Mongolian deserts of their dreams. And our cats are lions. We already knew that. Because our cats already think that they're lions, don't they? Do you see them prowling around our houses? What I want to do today is I want to tell you about 4 pet behaviors that I learned about that I used to see in my animals, and I thought that it was weird, but I just thought it was weird. And then when I learned about it, I learned that it's not really weird at all. It's actually part of their ancestral survival skills. It goes all the way back to them being wild animals. And the first one I want to tell you about is our dogs. I love dogs. Even if you don't have a dog, do you love dogs? Yeah. Yeah, they're solid animals. I love them. The thing about dogs is I want to tell you about their senses, because we know that dogs have a lot of senses that are totally different than us. They have a lot of superpowers. So here you have, these are the colors that humans can see on the top. Do you see that? Dogs can't see all the colors that we can see, but they can see really, really well in the dark. They have super duper night vision. And they have really, really good hearing. Their hearing is 4 times better than ours. Not only can they hear high sounds that we can't hear, like they can hear the bats screaming in the trees at night, but they can also hear really specific sounds from farther away than we can. So research has shown that that dogs, they can hear our cars coming down the street, and they can tell the sound of our cars' engines versus other people's cars' engines. So they can start getting happy way before we get home because they have really good hearing. Their sense of smell is 100,000 times more powerful than our sense of smell. So researchers believe that if you take like maybe a Sprite and you pour a little bit of Sprite into a bottle cap and you dumped it into a giant Olympic-sized swimming pool, the dog could smell the Sprite in the swimming pool. They can smell things that diluted. Could you? I think I could only smell swimming pool. What do you guys think? Yeah, that's how I am. Well, that's probably good. There are a lot of things I don't want to smell, so I'll leave that to the dogs. Now, One sense that we thought that they had, but we didn't know how to tell if they had it, was to detect something called Earth's electromagnetic field. Okay, buckle up, because this is how it works. It's kind of complicated, okay? Have you ever watched a dog go to the bathroom? Yeah? And do they turn this way? And then you're like, okay, cool, they're gonna go. And then they're like, nope. And then they turn that way. And then they turn this way again. And then you're like, please, for the love of somebody, just go to the bathroom. And then finally, they just stop and go to the bathroom. Have you ever seen that? And it seems like a totally random thing. You haven't ever seen that? Trust me, this is how they go to the bathroom. And if it's cold outside and you're responsible for them, it's very frustrating. But then they finally will stop. Well, researchers, that to me was a really weird behavior that dogs had, because why are they just spinning around and then stopping at a random place? It turns out they're not stopping at a random place. When a dog stops to go to the bathroom, they're aligning their body with the north-south axis of Earth's electromagnetic field. Now, that sounds kind of crazy and complicated, but if you looked in the middle of the planet, there's this like molten ball of iron that's cooling. Molten means it's like melted and ooky, but then it gets cool, and where it cools, it makes magnets, and the magnets cover our planet in this whole area field. That's why when you use a compass, it always points to the north, because it uses a magnet to point to the north. We can't feel that, but some animals can feel that. So if you look at animals, here's all of these animals use the electromagnetic field to find their way home. What'd you say? Okay, yes, these guys, yes. And a lot more do too. And we thought that dogs could, but we weren't sure about it until we started watching them go to the bathroom. The reason we thought that dogs could is because they can get home from really far away without using a map. So this is Bobby, the wonder dog, who used to just be called Bobby until they became wonderful. Bobby and their family went on vacation in this state called Indiana, and then it was time to go. And they were like, hey, Bobby, let's go. And they couldn't find Bobby, so guess what they did? They got in their car and drove back to Oregon and didn't say anything to anybody, left Bobby there. A few months later, Bobby shows back up that house. So it would be like you or me walking out of the museum and walking straight across the country to Seattle, Washington, and going to get ourselves a cookie at a cookie store in Seattle, Washington, without having any map. It was 2,500 miles that Bobby walked without a map. And they couldn't figure out how Bobby did it, but they thought it might be the electromagnetic field. Animals who feel the electromagnetic field feel comfortable with their bodies lining up north to south. So this is a little trick that y'all can do when you drive by a cow pasture. If you drive by a cow pasture, a lot of times they're facing the same way. And the reason, if you took out a compass and you found which way they were facing, they'd either be facing north or south. That's how it works. Deer do it, all kinds of animals do it. And it turns out that when dogs are spinning around to go to the bathroom, when they stop, they are also lining their bodies up north to south. And that's one of the ways that we learned that dogs can detect this crazy field. So it's not, the behavior looks weird, but then when you realize what's going on, you realize that they actually, it's a pretty brilliant behavior that they're doing, because they're lining up and they're feeling comfortable, and it helps them to get home if they needed to. All right, the second behavior I want to tell you about is what I'm calling the royal fist bump. All right, who's got a cat? We don't have, just a couple of you cat people. Okay, well, here's something about your cat. Okay, so we've been keeping cats for like maybe 10,000 years, okay? Have you ever seen a cat come up and do a bump like this? Okay, it's called bunting. All right, a lot of wild animals, a lot of wild felines do bunting, where they just bump their little foreheads onto other creatures. Tigers do it too. Now, we think that cats don't really care about us a lot. We think they're aloof, but it turns out that in living together for the last 10,000 years, they have evolved to understand us, and we have evolved to understand them. It turns out that humans can tell if a cat is happy or sad or frustrated or wanting to bite your face off or has a question just by the way that the cat sounds when the cat meows. And it turns out that the cat also looks to us to see how we're feeling. They can tell if we're happy or we're sad or we're calm or we're nervous. They can tell these things. And for who had the cat? Who had the cat? Okay, when you're sad, has your cat ever come and given you a forehead bump? Has your cat ever come and bumped you or tried to get near you? That doesn't happen? Does that happen? Did that happen to you? And what do you do when that happens? You reach out, you put it away. Okay, well, a lot of us don't throw our cats away when they're trying to make us feel better. We reach out and pet them. And what happens when we pet our cats is that we start to release a chemical called oxytocin, and the cat starts to release a chemical called oxytocin. And oxytocin is the chemical that mamas release when they're bonding with their new babies. It's what chemicals release when we're falling in love. And it's this feedback loop that helps us to feel better. And so just from that bump, that forehead bump, it actually acts like an antidepressant for us, and it makes us feel better. It makes me almost want to get a cat again. All right, oh no, I've got two more, never mind. All right, does anybody have a gerbil? Nobody keeps gerbils anymore, do we? Do we keep a gerbil? You do? Have you seen them? Oh, you have a hamster? Okay, hamsters are a little bit different. They get in these crazy stink fights. They fight with stink because they can't see very good. But we're talking about gerbils, so these are gerbils. They're really cute. And the thing about gerbils, though, is that a lot of people have gerbils that will not stop digging. They go to the corner, and they dig and dig and dig, and they never get anywhere in their nest. And there are researchers, and this is what is exciting about life, because y'all are young, and you can do anything you want to. Some people went out to the desert and just mapped gerbil houses. Look how wonderful that is. So the way a gerbil house works in the desert is, see, all those little top things are holes that they can go underground. And then underground, they go into all these tunnels, and then there's all of these rooms there that they live with their families forever. They love living with their families. And so what researchers have found is that when we get, that is a hamster in that picture, but just imagine this, a gerbil cage. When we put our gerbils in cages at our house, there are no tunnels for them. And so they have nowhere to go. And they found that if you have a baby gerbil, which, is there anything cuter than that? I don't think so. And it's born into a cage that has a tunnel, it won't dig when it grows up. But if it's born into a cage with no tunnel, it will dig compulsively for the rest of its life without stopping. Because at a certain point in the gerbil's childhood, it has to have a tunnel to feel safe, and it won't feel safe for the rest of its life. So that's why our gerbils dig and dig and dig and dig and dig. They really can't help it. They just can't. But they're very, very cute. I can't help it. Very good. I want you to be whoever did that to be my gerbil voice forever. My last behavior I want to tell you about is goldfish. Has anybody ever had a goldfish in here? You have had a goldfish. You've had a goldfish. Okay, here's a behavior. We think that goldfish love living in bowls, don't we? And that's what everybody tells you. You go to the store and you get a bowl. Well, it turns out that that's a myth. They do not love living in bowls. They actually really, really hate living in bowls. And a lot of us have been told, I was told, that goldfish have really, really short memories, that they can only remember something for 3 seconds. But the truth is, they can remember stuff for years, and they're really, really, really smart animals. They can tell the different music that you're playing. They actually have musical tastes. There's songs that they like more than other songs. They can remember you visiting their bowl and strangers, and they can remember who you are if you went away and came back years later. They're super smart. And one of the reasons that they're super smart is that in the wild, in China, where they came from, they look like this. And then we started for the last 1,000 years or so breeding them to look like the fish of our dreams. And we got all these really beautiful fish, but deep inside, they're still really, really intelligent Chinese carp that we can train to do all kinds of stuff. So there was this team of scientists, again, you can do anything you want to in this world, who built a little fish mobile and then taught the fish to drive. And then they put them out on the wild streets of wherever, and they drove down the road and got themselves food and then drove themselves back to their house. So they trained a fish to drive themselves to get takeout, and they can remember it forever. And that's really, really hard for when they live in a bowl because they need a lot of stimulation. But that's not the only thing about goldfish, because a lot of us, over the history, none of us would do this, have dumped our goldfish into rivers when we don't want them anymore. And in a couple of generations after they have babies, they kind of go back to being those wild carp that they used to be 1,000 years ago. Still super, super intelligent, but now doubly sneaky because they're starting to blend in with their surroundings. And because they're so smart and because they can remember stuff, they can travel more than 100 miles a year to get to certain places in their waterways. Look at this, these are goldfish babies, where they can lay more than 40,000 eggs a year. And they're sneaky, so they can evade us in ways that wild fish cannot evade us. They can escape us if we're trying to get rid of them. And they can eat anything, and they can go anywhere. And because of that, goldfish are now one of the most destructive species, invasive species on the planet. But we call them Asian carp when they're stuck in our waterways, eating all of our stuff and kicking out all of our fish. So what I'm saying here is that with your goldfish, you better pay attention to them because they are watching you, and you don't want to mess with that, okay? Now, these are just a few of the animals that, dun, 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 yes, correct. These are just a few of the animals that I studied to look into this book. But what I want you to do is look at your pets when you go home, okay? I want you to pay attention to them. If you don't have pets, look at the squirrels. If you don't have squirrels, look at the roaches. If you don't have roaches, look at the ants and wonder about them. Because all of these things I'm telling you about were just discovered. And they were only discovered because people wondered about something that we stare at every single day, okay? Is that a deal? Does anybody have any questions about their pets? Yes. What if you don't have ants? That's a good question. Who can you look at? Robins? Do you have robins? Look at your forehead mites. You carry them everywhere. Look at your mama and daddy and wonder about them. What are they doing? Does anybody else? Yes.
Do you think a baby gerbil is cuter than a baby golden retriever?
This is a question, I believe, for the audience. Who thinks a baby gerbil is cuter than a baby golden retriever? Baby gerbil, cuter? Nobody. Baby golden retriever, cuter? Everybody agrees. Baby golden retrievers are cuter. But if a baby gerbil was the size of a baby golden retriever, it might be cuter. Yes. If you don't have a mommy and daddy, and you don't have a dog, and you don't have roaches, and you don't have a robin, you can come and hang out with me, and I will give you lots of animals to look at because I've got about 1 million in my house. And I accidentally sent our tarantula home with somebody the other day, and it didn't go over well. Okay, does anybody else have any questions about? Yes?
I'm going to give you the mic because we're recording. Okay.
I know the north-south thing with dogs, but when they go to the bathroom, but why do they do that?
Nobody.
Like, what's the purpose?
So nobody knows why, but for some reason, when animals can detect the field, it helps their bodies to relax to be lined up with the field. But they don't know why that is. And I didn't believe it when I read it, and then I started watching my dogs, and 9 times out of 10, they stop north-south. And I have a little dog that does a lot of spinning, north-south every time. Also, I've learned north and south now, thanks to watching my dog go to the bathroom. Does anybody else have any questions about their, yes? Oh, you have a story? Come on, tell me.
My name's Eleanor.
Double Eleanor!
Yes.
Whoa! We got to represent, girl. We had old lady names, but now we have the coolest name. Eleanor, I'm glad to meet you. We can recommend it. Well, do you like animals too? Solid. Let's keep doing that together. Let's just do animals all the way up. Take it. Hi. You're Eleanor's best friend? Oh my gosh. This is awesome, guys. What's your name, Eleanor's best friend?
Abigail.
Abigail and Eleanor. I love it. I'm so glad to meet both of you. I hope you get stickers and stuff that you wanted, okay? All right. Thanks, guys. I'm so happy to meet you. Thank you for coming and talking to me. Thank you. Bye. Bye. Bye, Abigail.
Does anybody have questions upstairs?
Any cues? I don't think so.
All right.
Hi, guys. We have stickers and bookmarks down here if you want any. Uh-oh, he does. Is that too?
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you to people who stayed.